New flock safety technology could be coming to one small town in Scott County. Stamping Ground may soon be introducing Flock Raven devices.
It is a microphone that monitors audio, specifically gunshots. WKYT's Julia Sandor talked with the police, who say the addition could have a positive impact.
And anything that we can do to enhance our ability to, protect the people and property here in Stamping Ground, we're all about it.
The 0.6 square mile town is home to more than 800 residents. Stamping Ground's two-man police department covers it all with the help of Flock technology.
I guess 2 days after our first camera went active, a guy went through that there was an alert in the system, and he had shot a person over in Lincoln County and threatened to kill a deputy sheriff over there. And he set the alert off, and we apprehended him at the gas station just up the street here with the sheriff's office.
Chief Don Whitlock and Officer John Giles say these systems have proven to work, and that's why they want to introduce another Flock device. It's called the Raven, and it detects audio.
If a gunshot occurs, they will triangulate between the three closest Raven devices. And what that does in about 45 to 60 seconds is it pinpoints about a 90-foot circumference of where the actual shot originated from. So we'll have a location to go to start the investigation.
Instead of depending on just 911 phone calls, they say this system will work side by side with their Flock cameras and get them accurate information quickly.
We just feel like with the two-man department, it's going to help us with our ability to investigate and pass along information to the other agencies that are in Scott County that can help us.
In Stamping Ground, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
And Stamping Ground police tell us there would be about 22 or 23 devices, and it would cost the city about $12,000 a year.